Alright. Shalom Akim, as always. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rahak Kodash, which means all praise to the Most High, Yahweh. Yahweh being the ancient Hebrew name of the Most High, which the world ignorantly calls God. And of course, Yahushai being the ancient Hebrew name of the Messiah as well, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And of course, out here, the talk today is pertaining to the fact that we should prepare our minds for the hate to come and the accusations to come as well. Because as you can see up here, I'm out here in the highways, you know, Elephant and Castle. Of course, as people walk by, as Jakes walk by, we're trying to feed them, whichever ones are willing to be fed. And of course, we know the time to come, Esau Edom with his envy against his brother and his hate against his brother, we know that the Hebrew Israelites, those up here, they truly believe that they're Israelites as well, and of course serve Yahushua in truth and sincerity, they're going to be falsely accused of certain things. That as you see in the movies as well, where you might see certain accusations of them being killed, like them killing someone, or certain accusations of them going against the government in some way. Of course, Esau's going to find some kind of excuse that's going to go against the Hebrew Israelites. That's going to go against the Akim, the brothers. You know? We're just out here trying to feed the flock, and whoever's willing to listen, try and preach unto them. Brother, you know you're an Israelite. What are the chosen people of the Most High? Search up Great Millstone, and the names Yahweh and Yahushua. Of course, not all Jakes are willing to be fed, man. I don't know if you saw right there, that Jake wearing a suit. You know, sometimes they be in that soft spirit. That's the thing, they don't want to listen. Oftentimes, they don't have time to also listen as well. So, whoever's really willing will be willing. Let me get my first scripture. So, you know, as we were hated, we can go to the scripture as well, where Yahushua said, if they call the master, roughly paraphrasing, Beelzebub, which is the name of a demon, the thing is, imagine the servants, what are they going to be called? What type of things are they going to suffer? Of course, let's get Matthew chapter 10. We know we're coming into a time where us brothers here are going to be hated. That's the truth. A time of false accusation, a time of hate, a time Esau, Edom, and all these Edomites are going to come together, and then they're going to go against Jake. Just imagine the time where famine comes as well. That famine, of course, we already got pestilence going on. Apparently a new one as well, the bird flu. And of course, I don't know if you have seen in the news as well, you got this new hepatitis thing. Hepatitis, not virus, but I don't even know if it's a virus, but some kind of an illness called hepatitis, where the thing is mainly dominant in children. And of course, we know that from those who took the juice formerly, that's what's affecting them right now. Brother, you know you're an Israelite. Do you know that, though? That you're an Israelite. Search up Yahweh and Yahushua, Great Millstone, on YouTube. Like, you know, brothers are in a rush as well. Like, you never know which one they be 1/3. Of course, as these Edomites pass by, they've got no idea that he who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So of course, when the time to come, they won't be free to just walk about and around. But they're going to be owned in the time to come as slaves. Same way they owned us back in the day, during those transatlantic slave trade days. Same way we're going to own them in our kingdom, in Yahushua's kingdom. Now let me get the first scripture, Matthew 10. Had to change the location today because the other one, it got blocked out as a building site. So yeah, let me get Matthew 10. I'll read from Matthew 10 verse 24. As it says here, Matthew 10:24, the disciple is not above his master, nor servant above his lord. So of course it means that the servants are of course under the master in terms of value. So of course, in terms of the suffering really, the servant will still have to suffer as much as the master, probably even more. So like what I actually meant to say, because you know, the suffering that we go through right now is a light affliction. Also compared to Yahushua, it's a light affliction too. You know? This is Matthew 10 verse 25. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master and the servant as his lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? So of course they called Yahushua Beelzebub, a demon. They're pretty much blaspheming Yahushua. And of course in the time to come, as I said, the topic today is hate and of course false accusations. Because we know we're coming into the time where Esau's going to edit these videos that we're making out here in the highways and try and phrase it in a way of which everyone's going to be against us. Now imagine a day where you just see a thing, £50,000 bounty, £100,000. What else? Like £1 million, £2 million. Imagine just on one brother, a bounty just like that, £2 million. Whatever the amount Esau just declares on you, just imagine that. Because Esau's going to try and make the whole world against us. Even though we strive to serve Yahweh Shem Yahshua in righteousness, we know his true agenda, the true agenda of Esau Edom, is to try and bring us down, even more than we already are. As we know Yahweh Shem Yahshua, Yahweh's already humbled us with the curses. So of course Esau's trying to take advantage of those curses that we're going through and trying to push us down further. Let me read it again, Matthew 10 verse 25. Because of course we're still going to have to suffer certain things, false accusations. And of course in the time to come, you never know, man. As you saw from that police, man, you never know when they will just carry you just like that. You may be in the thing, at home, at work, and you just see on the news your face on the video. Now on BBC Broadcast Network, on a major news network where the brothers preaching out in the highways and byways, they'll get that false accusation. Yeah, this is Matthew 10 verse 25. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master and the servant his lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? So of course it's talking about the servants. Those out here, coming out here in the highways, in the marketplaces to preach. And of course, making videos, producing fruit. They be the servants of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. The ones striving to be righteous servants of Yahweh and Yahushua. So of course, as they called Yahushua Beelzebub, which is the name of a demon, we know in the time to come they're going to try and demonize us as well. Call us all sorts of names. Which of course we're supposed to have a stable mind against that too. You know, as Yahushua says, whoever endures to the end, of course Yahweh will be worthy of that salvation as well. The point is to endure to the very end. That moment of salvation, that's the point of endurance that we're supposed to go through. To that very point where those nuclear missiles are going to come, those arrows of destruction are going to come, pestilences, Jacob's trouble is going to increase. And of course, we're supposed to be stable in the mind, as I've repeated before. Let me get another one. This is Matthew 10, verse 26. It says, fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. So of course in the time to come all shall be revealed. That's literally what that scripture means. Matthew 10 verse 26 simply means all that is hidden shall be revealed. All the secret works of Esau shall be revealed. All the false accusations of Esau as well, the truth will be made known. That these were all false allegations against Yahweh Shem Yahshua's servants. Yahweh will be the true prophets of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Rather the true servants sincere in Yahweh Shem Yahshua. What I really mean is that Yahushua sees us worthy as his servants. So of course we gotta be consistent, coming out in the highways and byways, of course in the marketplace is preaching. It's always having that consistency that is key, week in, week out. Now it says here, I'll read it one more time before I switch to another scripture. This is Matthew 10, verse 27, actually verse 26. Fear them not therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. So of course, breaking it down simply, everything's going to be revealed in time. All the false accusations, allegations against the brothers, coming out in the highways and byways, whatever suffering or torturing that we may have to go through, or afflictions, we know the truth is going to be revealed. That Esau, Edom is the one behind it. Of course, ultimately Yahweh's will be done. But of course, we know Esau, Edom being our enemy, he's going to come down. Now let me get another scripture too. An example of that hate and affliction to come. And we can refer to Joseph as well, when he was under his master, and also his wife, not his wife, Salakia. The master's wife was trying to lie with Joseph, which was a temptation, as she falsely accused Joseph, which made him get casted into prison. So of course that goes into the fact that also, that in the time to come, who you may call your friends, even your family, your brothers, your mother, your father, of course your earthly father, your earthly mother, in the time to come they may falsely accuse you, that will lead to your imprisonment. And in that time to come, that's going to be a time to behold, to be honest. But that's when you realize these guys are really 2/3. But they never really was supporting the truth. They were in the world the whole time, as you knew. Let me get that scripture, Genesis 39, 37. Yeah, probably 39. This is Genesis chapter 39, verse 10 and onwards. It says here, and it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her or to be with her. So of course, Joseph was going through that temptation where the master's wife, his master's wife, was trying to lie with him. So that's pretty much what Genesis chapter 39 verse 10 means. And then verse 11, Genesis 39 verse 11, and it came to pass about this time that Joseph went in to the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. So of course, you know, the fact that it mentions there was no men within, so there was no witnesses to what's about to happen. But in that moment where Joseph was about to do his business, the thing is, after that, the woman just came in, the master's wife. And this is what happened. This is Genesis chapter 39 verse 12. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. So of course in that moment, when Joseph's master's wife tried to grip on him, he left his garment and he fled. So of course after he fled, the thing is that's when the master's wife then thought of that false accusation. So yeah, continuing on, it says here Genesis chapter 25, so look here, Genesis chapter 39, verse 13, and it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, it says here, verse 14, that she called unto them men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, see, he hath brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us. he came unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. So of course that was a false accusation right there. That he was trying to say Joseph, which was a servant in that time period of in Genesis chapter 39. The thing is, you had that false accusation, which was to the fact that Joseph was really false, Salaki and waffling. But the point being is, in verse 14, that they're saying that Joseph was supposed to be a servant that was trying to lie with his master's wife. And that's coming out of the mouth of the master's wife. And of course, that false accusation made him to go to prison, which I'll read on to establish that fact. Or Salaki. Sometimes you be talking, and of course sometimes what you say don't really make sense. So you got to recollect your thoughts as well. So I'll read it again. Genesis 39 verse 14, 39 verse 14 says that she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, ye have brought in an Hebrew unto us, to mock us. He came unto me to lie with me, and cried with a loud voice. And I cried with a loud voice. So of course the thing is, she never screamed though. She never screamed. And the point being is, Joseph was under a false accusation of him. He was under a false accusation. But Salaki, let me actually read that. Yeah, cause she never screamed, that's the thing. She never screamed at all. Because I was trying to find the verse where it says she screamed, but she never actually screamed. But the point being is, she's trying to say Joseph was only the servant there, to mock them, really. Mock the household. Because it was pretty much the Egyptians as well that he was serving. The point being is, in the time to come, the same way Joseph got accused of having the intention to mock them, to mock the Egyptians, the same way we're going to get falsely accused in multiple manners. In multiple manners, that's the way we're going to be accused. And of course we should prepare our minds of all sorts of atrocities as well, that's to come. And in the time to come, we don't know what type of accusations that Esau might bring up. Of course we can have a rough idea with all these music as well, with that predictive programming. Eventually in the time to come, there's going to be all sorts of things. Esau trying to blame Jake for everything, all sorts of bad things, when he's the one who's behind it.
Calm. It's still recording.
There's been a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff that Esau Edom have been hiding the whole time. Our books, our history. It's a lot. Now let's get another scripture. This one is pertaining to the account that his brothers also had hate against him. Joseph had two dreams as well. I think one of them, of which everyone, I think including his father, his brothers, his mother as well, were pretty much bowing down before him. And that was pertaining to a prophecy as well, that he would rule in Egypt. So let me get Genesis 37. I'll read from verse 10. This is Genesis chapter 37 verse 10. Pertaining to his own brothers, having that envy, that hate, well, pretty much having that jealousy against Joseph. Him being a dreamer. But yeah, this is Matthew chapter 10. Actually, Genesis chapter 37 verse 10. And he told it to his father, to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? Verse 11, and his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. So although the father wasn't like down with it, although Israel, which is we know is Jacob, the father of actually let me get that so long. Yeah, which was Jacob, or which his name was changed to Israel. The point being is his father wasn't with it. Joseph's father wasn't with it. Jacob wasn't with it. He tells of his dream, of which I think the whole family was pretty much bowing down to him. He wasn't with it. But although he wasn't with it, he still observed it and listened. That's pretty much what the word observe means. To listen and to take in. Now it says in Genesis 37, verse 11, this is the key part, you know, that jealousy that the brothers had, that the brothers of Joseph had. This is Genesis 37, verse 11, and his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. Verse 12, and his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem, which is probably Shechem in Asia, probably, obviously just discerning through the spirit. But anyways, it says in verse 12, Genesis 37 verse 12, it says here, and his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem, or Shechem. In 13, verse 13, it says, and Israel, which was Jacob, said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. So of course, Jacob sent Joseph, to go and feed the flock with his brothers. Now moving on, this is verse 14, and he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem, which means that was pretty much Jacob again, just sending Joseph, to go and feed the flock. And of course, feeding the flock, that was with his brothers back in the day. So this is Genesis 37, verse 15. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And a man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And this is verse 16. And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. So of course, during this time, Joseph was looking for his brothers so that he could assist them in feeding the flock, feeding the sheep and the cow and whatnot, and all the livestock. So now it says here in verse 16, and he said, I seek my brethren, tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. Verse 17, and the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dathan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dathan. This is another place, the place where they were feeding their flock. This is verse 18. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And of course, if you go into the word conspired, it's about planning evil. And of course, when they conspired against Joseph, that was talking about the plan to pretty much try and slay him, which was their original thought before Reuben came in and then decided to say, let's just put him in the pit. So of course, these are just false allegations, false, pretty much bad plans, as it says through the word conspired. Alright, so this is Genesis chapter 37, verse 19. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. And then this is the actual plan. It says Genesis 37 verse 20, which is the key verse talking about the plan, the evil plan his brothers were making. So it says here, come now therefore, and let us slay him, cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast hath devoured him. and he shall see what will come, what will become of his dreams. So of course that evil plan right there about slaying him and then tossing him into a pit, that was talking about the fact that they were planning evil, and of course that evil plan was the original thought. Then of course Rehoboam coming in, if you read a few verses after that, Rehoboam coming in, the thing is, he said, let's just put him into a pit and leave him there. And of course that's when, you know, they brought him out, I think they sold him to Ishmaelites and then so on. Midianites or Ishmaelites, pretty much the same thing. So the point being is, the fact that his brothers conspired against him. It's the same way our family members, our so-called friends, especially these heathen friends that you may have, that walk by, that you may be in certain communities, such as school, uni, and all of this whatnot, whatever community you may be part of, these so-called friends may accuse you falsely. All these false accusations will come from your family, your friends, those who you think are close to you, but are actually not in the spirit. Because of course we know, in terms of who's close to who in the spirit, the elect are pretty much close to each other. Which is why at certain times you're going to feel more comfortable with the Arkim than your own family. Especially when you come into this truth and you get deeper as well, because you know that you're closer to certain Arkim than your family. Of course, than your friends anyway. The point being is the same way Joseph's brothers conspired against him, is the same way family members, friends are going to conspire against us, plan evil. And of course this is probably going to be rooted in Esau Edom in the time to come, where they might, you know, get some FBI, some kind of agents as well, to call your family members. And of course in the time to come when they call the family members as well, that's when that conspiring process will then begin. They'll be like, we're going to pay you this amount, you know, to tell us where he is, or tell us what you know about him, you know. As we are in the house and byway, it brings our family members are also against us as well. You know, your mother, your father may be against you. Some brothers are blessed as well, where the fact that their family are all together in that Israelite truth. But of course, certain Akib have to pay certain afflictions. But yeah, let me get Acts 14. Let me get Acts 14. Sharon to start still recording. This is Acts 14 verse 22. It says, so he sent into Macedonia. Actually, no, wait. I forgot the precept. Yeah, I